Here is another video inspired by one of our viewers who was having problems with an older set of stairs. And I'm not 100% sure that the treads and risers were notched into the stringer or they were using some other type of fastener. But we're going to provide you with a few ideas in this video how you can make some repairs and even make the stairway a little stronger for this type of design. So let's go ahead and get started with what it looks like so that we can give you a basic idea on how we're going to make the repairs. And the wedge for the bottom of the tread and the riser is usually used to force everything tight against this line here so that it provides you with a nice finished look. However, sometimes these wedges will be falling out, loosening up, or in some cases they might need to be recut and replaced. And you might also need to get creative with some of the examples I'm going to use in this video. And one of those might be to remove the wedges or to get a chisel and break out a section of the wedge so that you can install some type of repair blocks like these here. And here we're using something that's about 2.5 inches wide, 3/4 of an inch thick, and the length of the pieces will vary. And of course, we are going to attach them with the appropriate screws. For example, maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches might work just fine for this type of repair, but you can see here where we're replacing the wedges basically with a block. And another thing you can do will be to install screws into the back of the riser and then going into the back of the tread to tighten everything up. And it will be a good idea to pre-drill some holes for these screws to eliminate any type of splitting. And if you do have lumber that is splitting a little too much, then I hate to say it, but you're going to have to replace the damaged lumber. And if you need to, you can always shape one side of these support braces, or you can cut little triangles like these and glue and screw them to the stringers. And these pieces aren't difficult to cut. You just simply grab a square board or a rectangular shaped board and then place it up against the treads and the risers and then draw a line across here. And that can be done with a straight edge, or if you have access to the other side, you can always grab a pencil and draw a line on the other side of the board to create your triangle. Now with something like this, you can glue the back side, the top, and the side where it's going to butt up against the back of the riser and the bottom of the tread. So you can always use adhesive and screws instead of nails and maybe some type of glue you wouldn't be happy with. And of course what it would look like from the other side. And another problem you could run into is that you will need to shape the bottom of this so that this board will fit instead of something like this. This won't work if you're going to be attaching multiple shaped support boards. So keep that in mind also. Something else you could do will be to cut 2x8s or 2x10s, depending upon how bad a shape your stairway is in, and then attach them to the stringer so that you can have some type of support for the riser as well as some support for the tread. And you can attach these again with screws, and you might be able to put some screws in from the other side. And of course you can put some screws in from above to help tighten up the treads and the risers. And you might be able to space these support boards out a little bit and then use the shaped support blocks. And of course you could always have 2 support blocks and then 1 support brace like a 2x8 or a 2x10, or you can have a support block and then a brace, maybe do every other one. Again, this will depend upon the damage done to the stairway. And you could always build a frame like this if the damage was concentrated in one area. However, keep in mind that if you do not firmly attach something like this to the ground or the floor, you could actually end up with something like this raising and lowering as you use the stairway. And of course, you could always put these support braces in the center or use 3 of them on each step. Again, this could be a little pricey doing this type of repair depending upon your lumber cost. So sometimes it is going to be easier to remove and replace the stairway. However, I will not be able to help you with that. And if you need to, watch more videos. And let's not forget that you will be able to attach the treads and the risers to the center support braces also. And this could actually solve one of your problems, because if you think about it, you're usually walking up the center of the stairway, suggesting that this brace might even be more important than the braces on the ends. And of course, another method would be to firmly anchor a plate to the ground and then build some type of a support wall like this one here. And then of course we could use some 2x6s or 2x8s to support the stairway if needed. And here is one of the anchors. Go ahead and zoom in on it there. And these can be purchased at your local home improvement centers or lumber yards. And of course you will need a drill that will be able to drill into concrete to use those. And it might be better to drill a hole and use a bolt or a couple of bolts to connect our new support stringers to the 2x framing instead of using screws and nails. Again, I'll leave that up to you. And here are a variety of different methods that you can use. And this one up here would be the one I would prefer. That would be to cut a shaped triangle. And again, this won't be difficult to do. Grab a rectangular shaped piece of lumber, shove it into place, draw a line along the top here, and then cut the piece out, slide it in, and then use a piece of plywood or OSB or even just a 1x6 to connect the block to the support stringer. And this one here is just simply a 1x8 shaped to fit. And here we have a 2x8 with the bottom notched if, for example, you were going to install drywall underneath this. And this block here would be a shaped 2x. And here you can see where the screws are going to be through the treads and risers and then into our new support blocks. And again, you could always use bolts here, drill a hole through both the 2x6 and the 2x4, and then use a carriage bolt or some other type of bolt to connect everything together. And here you can see where we're using a flat board here, and this one here has a shaped cut. And obviously this would be the most difficult cut to make for our support blocks. So something like this might work a little bit better. And again, this is probably going to be the best. And again, you can always come up with your own ideas on this one. And if we put everything together, you can see where we're basically making our own stringers to provide additional support for our stairway that is falling apart. Now again, this is where you need to seriously consider how much work is going to be involved in doing this, other repair methods, and whether or not you need to remove and replace the stairway again. Some of these old stairs need to be replaced.